June 1st, 2004, Japan, Nagasaki. After taking their lunch, 11-year-old girl A and one of her classmates, Mitalai Satomi, went into an empty reading chamber in school together. Just a few days ago, the two of them had a bitter confrontation online, and they were currently on bad terms. That's why girl A suggests to Satomi that they should play hide and seek to mend their relationship. Satomi agreed, and she let girl A cover her eyes with a blanket. Once everything was set, Satomi began to reach her hands in the air for girl A aimlessly. As Satomi got closer to her, girl A pulled out a utility knife and tiptoed towards her. With a slash on Satomi's neck, blood came spilling out and splashed upon girl A's shirt. She added a few more slashes on Satomi's arms before she was satisfied to leave the scene. Satomi, now crippled, was squirming on the ground and slowly dying. It was only after the first class in the afternoon had begun, when girl A went back to her classroom with bloodstains on her clothes. No matter how hard the teacher tried to get an answer from her, girl A won't respond, but her eyes were fixated on Satomi's seat in the class. The teacher, sensing something was very wrong, reported to the principal and organized a search for Satomi in school, whose cold body was later found in the now bloody reading chamber. Satomi was pronounced dead shortly after the ambulance arrived. Girl A was also being taken away by the police for questioning. She pleaded guilty of the murder of Satomi and was crying all night and refused to eat. She kept murmuring under her breath, "I made an unforgivable mistake." Girl A later revealed her ulterior motive in killing Satomi. Just a few days ago, Satomi was saying something really nasty on girl A's personal blog channel online, wrongfully mocking her plump physique and also accused her of being a dog to the teachers. Feeling insulted, girl A decided to take things to the extreme. The incident was explosive in its media coverage, and people around the country was appalled at the fact that a little girl will do something this horrible to her classmate. In order to protect her privacy, she was named as Girl A in the news. There were, however, also a widespread coverage on Girl A's personal blog channel, where she would often post her own manga drawings. Some sharp-eyed netizens were able to find out her real name on her drawings. As the event was gaining ground on the internet, there were alleged photos of Girl A's classmates, and even photos of herself and personal information being posted on 2channel, a Japanese anonymous text board website. Her photos were found to be cute and adorable by some of the netizens, and they nicknamed her Nevada-tan, where Nevada is a logo on her distinct hoodie in one of the most prominent class photos she was in, and tan was a Japanese affectionate suffix describing someone as cute. Navatatan hence quickly gained an almost cult following on the internet, owing to the marked contrast between her harmless and cute appearance and the horrifying act she had committed. Netizens' imaginations started to run wild. They created a huge quantity of fan arts to worship Navatatan. As this feverish dark enthusiasm started to take off, there were people actually supporting Navadatan's deeds. The crux of the event slowly shifted from being that whether this thing she did was right or wrong, to being that how cool Navatatan is, as she is able to pull off such a stunt while being such a little girl. This incompatibility of our perception of how an 11-year-old girl should act versus what Navatatan had did also attracted interest from outside Japan. People started to cosplay as Navatatan, producing manga series evolving around her, and this incompatibility of our perception to reality indeed highlights this event as somewhat bizarre and regrettably a possible manifestation of humans' dark nature. However, if we were to revert back to the mainstream perspective, we would want to know why is that an 11-year-old girl would commit something this heinous. With media outlets delving into the matter, several evidence could be pinned down to explain why Navatatan would act like this. Navatatan was living in a remote village away from school on the mountain. As such, there weren't many people of her age interacting with her, so her parents bought her 3 computers for her to ease the loneliness and boredom. Nevertheless, without guidance, without company, she inadvertently ran into websites that were inappropriate for her age. It was found that she had taken an interest in browsing through websites that featuring morbid, grotesque, and gore materials. She even worshipped serial killers. Apart from all this, she was, at the time, also an avid fan of a flash mini-video Crimson Room on those channels, which again featured a large amount of gore and distortion. With that, the mainstream media began lashing out at all these violent and bloody adult materials online. Despite this, the public anger in Japan cannot be appeased. As things stood at the time, the issues with juvenile delinquents were unresolved, and the situation had in fact deteriorated each year, as the one who committed all these crimes are youngsters. And the age at the time they were committing crimes were getting younger. The girl was in the end deemed as showing signs of Asperger's syndrome. Young people with Asperger's syndrome have a difficult time relating to others socially, and their behaviors and thinking patterns can be rigid and repetitive. She was eventually sent to Juvenile Rehabilitative Center and spent 4 years there. By the time she was released, she changed her name and started a new life elsewhere. No one knows where she is now. Although there were occasional pictures posted online claiming that they were the authentic Navatatan, their credibility cannot be determined. Many people were vehemently against the fact that the girl was not punished, and they took to the street and demanded the government to lower the age of people being held accountable for their crimes from 14 years old to even lower. This was, however, not enacted by the government in the end. Indeed, children are the very definition of innocence, and it's hard to imagine them being capable of anything remotely close to what adults describe as evil. Even suggesting that a child could do something intentionally malicious is bound to ruffle some feathers. In the end, it may be a tough pill to swallow, but there is no guaranteed way to predict these things, nor ways to prevent tragedy from striking. As for many, the fact alone is enough for them to paralyze. Thank you so much guys for finishing this video. We have pulled a large amount of effort and time in trying to make this kind of a free and documentary video. Please give us any suggestions and advice on how we can improve on them. And if you have any interested topic that you want to share with us, please comment below in the comment section. And make sure that you subscribe to us. See you next time.